Welcome to Living Chassidus. Together, let's live the Chassidus we learn.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Chassidus in the morning. 15 minutes to change our lives. We'll start by giving tzedakah, because Gedol tzedakah shemekar v'zagula. And this whole series, of course, is for the Yidden Eretz Yisroel and all the soldiers and all the hostages that are unfortunately still in captivity. It's crazy. But Mitzvah Hashem, through the Zchus of our learning, should have the impact that is needed to bring Mashiach, get them home, get this goal done already, and just good. And today we're going to focus on Adi Bat Shoshan. That should be healthy and safe, and also for Yeshua Yitzchak and Simcha should be healthy and safe, and only good. Mitzvah Hashem, today we're going to finish this Mammer Yudit Daled. So we're talking about basically different justifications a person gives themselves why they do the wrong thing. And that, and so one of the reasons we said this person says I have a big Yitzhar. It's funny. This is a funny one also when I think about it. I was reminding myself yesterday that sometimes you speak to people, like speak to people about shidduchim. I know this. I don't speak to women so much about shidduchim, but I know this about guys. I've spoken to them, and when they tell me something that is a little bit, it's pasnish, like they should be talking this way or thinking this way. So what do they tell me? This is my Yitzhar. This is my Nefesh Bahamas. This is what it is. Some people that are very chassidish, they'll tell me different versions of how to explain this. That we got to work with Nefesh Bahamas, and it's just how this is what it is. Or someone will say, "This is my Nefesh Bahamas," and I was always shocked when I heard that. Like, it's such a weird concept. Like, yeah, it's true. We all have Nefesh Bahamas, but aren't we meant to work on it? We're meant to uplift it, change it, transform it. Meaning, I guess, even if you're going to say this is how your Nefesh Bahamas is, but don't you want to fix it, work on it? But it was more like, this is what it is. That's what we learned just before in this week. But the Nefesh Bahamas is got to, we can't, there's not an excuse. Nefesh Bahamas are passionate. This is what Nefesh Bahamas wants. This is what it is. We have no excuses, because the Nefesh Elokis' whole job is to fix, it's given a shavua. And we said shavua also means from the ability to overcome that Yetzer, the Nefesh Bahamas. We can't say Nefesh Bahamas is too strong for Nefesh Elokis. It's not true. And the other thing we talked about, when this is one in the middle of, is complaining about the people around us. That it's my friends that cause me. It's the peer pressure that I have around me. So you're basically saying you choose your friend. You have to recognize, not just you choose your friend, you have to recognize, be very careful about who you choose. And so now we're talking and we're finishing up about why that's such a problem. Because if you have these excuses, they stop you from really doing tshuva. The person feels they didn't do anything wrong, so then it's hard to say sorry. In order to say sorry, you have to recognize what you've done wrong. And this is why, on a side note, before we just get into it, is why it's so important, communication and understanding someone. When you hurt someone, whatever, you hurt someone's feelings, you spoke to them not nicely, understanding what you did is very difficult. It takes a lot of bittul. But when you understand what you did, then you can truly say, have true tshuva. Because if you don't feel you did anything, let's say you said something and that person got really offended. So if you say sorry without knowing what happened, really, you're sorry because you see they got offended. But you're not really sorry because what'd you do? You just spoke. Like, you weren't trying to offend them. But when you when you listen to them, you say, I'm so sorry. I don't, what did I say? Maybe can you explain it to me? And they explain it. They talk it out. You hear it. And you hear where they're coming from. So then you really feel what they're talking about. And then you can say sorry much easier and much more sincere. And this is what we're going to talk about today. Let's see. And specifically in the middle of page 211 in this green version, in the middle of the page. And specifically talking about the true tshuva. It makes a very big difference how you feel going into the tshuva. But if you do something wrong and you know you did something wrong, but you justify and you have all these excuses, so you're not going to really do tshuva. Shein acharata al he'avar, v'akaval al ha'haba, amitis kolkach, because the remorse for the past and the resolution for the future is not going to be so true. Ki hacharata v'akabala tuluyos b'meriros nafsho, because the remorse and the resolution for the future are dependent on the bitterness of Yisrael, how badly you recognize the problem. And this is sort of like the story we talked about with the guy becoming a chassid and learning all day by the Alter Rebbe. What chassidus brought him is a recognition of who he truly is. And because of that, he realized where he can go. Or it's like the story of my friend that he said that he's non-Lubavitcher friend complaining about Tanya, that he's never going to be a tzaddik. This is a problem because guy's not living in reality. Reality is who you really are, irrelevant to what title we give you. And this is what we're talking about. The gasher mismamer benafshu me'oid al hachet va'avin. When we truly recognize what we did wrong, and so therefore we feel bad, azu mischared be'emes, then he truly has remorse. V'oiker returne legamri mizeh, and we uproot our desire for this. Umamela, and automatically hakabala al lahaba amitis. Therefore, the resolution for the future is true. If a person's an addict, let's say a Chas v'Shalom person, a drug addict, and they don't recognize that there's a true problem, they might come and say, "Oh, I'm sorry," but it's not true. The truest level is when they recognize, "Hey, I've got a problem. Like I'm an addict. Like I have a big issue." When a person thinks they say, "I can control it," that's a very bad place, but they're never going to really change. Aval ayidei shematzdik es atzmei harei e merirus nafshe gedela kolkach. But when he justifies himself, then his bitterness from his soul is not so strong. He finds a merit on himself. And therefore, because he's justifying, so it's diminishing the responsibility that he has over it, that we have over it. Therefore, the resolution is not true. You're not truly wanting to change, but you don't feel you really need to change. In order to feel you really need to change, you need to recognize you really have a problem. It's like a friend of mine that during COVID, he was very unhealthy, and during COVID he got really sick. Now, COVID wasn't that bad for people our age. It's not, and so he was really bad. And so went to the hospital and they took care of him, whatever. And one thing they told him, they said, "You are 70 pounds. You have 70 pounds worth of excess fat, whatever. Your liver's shot." And he wasn't taking care of himself at all. And doctor said to me, he goes, "You're going to die if you continue doing this." And that really shook him up. What happened is he truly had true remorse. When he was shown the truth of his ways, so therefore he had true tshuva. And he truly realized, "I need to change." But if the doctor's going to come and say to him, "Oh, whatever, you're not so bad, yeah," and play around, then we're not going to recognize what's the problem. We're not going to truly change. And this is what we're saying here. So therefore, this justification that we give ourselves, it darkens that ability. And it stops us from being able to do true tshuva, to really transform ourselves. Meaning we want to hide away from sounding bad. It's not enjoyable when it sounds bad. So we try to cover it up. But what he's saying is, if you're going to cover up the truth, you're going to slow the process. Let's deal with it. Let's rip off the Band-Aid, see what it is. It's like, I heard about a shliach that he was in a lot of debt. So he couldn't handle anymore, and he came to the Balabatim, a few people that he trusted, and he said, "I need help. I'm drowning." So they said, "How much do you owe?" So he said, "I don't even know." So they said, "Make a spreadsheet and take out all the mail and put it all down, how much you owe, everything." And that's the first step. That's that being honest. That's the process of tshuva. That through true tshuva, you can transform yourself from a rasha to a tzaddik. And this guy now, he transformed himself using debt over, close to $500,000. And he did a lot of tshuva, a lot of crying, a lot of real deep stuff, and he's paid everyone back. He transformed his shluchos. He has his balabatim, and he doesn't not in debt anymore. It's a real transformation. And you hear his story, and it's like, whoa, that is intense, and that is real tshuva. And that's what we're saying. When we recognize, and this is what I was saying, if we learn how to transform ourselves, to transform yourself, first and foremost, we have to be able to be truly honest with ourselves. Truly honest with ourselves, again, doesn't mean just beat ourselves up and say we're so bad. But when there's something that's problematic, we're able to recognize it. Not to pull us down, but to help us transform and change ourselves. Like he's saying here, we can transform ourselves from being a rasha to a tzaddik. That in truth, but in truth, we can transform ourselves to be so distant from anything that's against godliness. But if our tshuva is not true, we're not truly honest with ourselves, we don't really recognize the issues, and we try to cover it up. So automatically we're not going to distance ourselves from the bad, but it's not so bad. If a person can't recognize that they're an addict, they're not going to stop. Only when they recognize they're an addict, I have a problem, I really have a big problem, then transform ourselves. But if we think life's not so bad, I'm not doing so badly, and so then we're not going to change. It's like Vasilian, but this is like the inyan of shtus. This is this foolishness. Shekadam lidvar avera, that comes before the avera. Elish ashtus ahi abba emhevia sheyikashel badavar avera. The shtus causes you to be able to fall into doing avera. It's foolishness, and it's like no, good, and then it's telling you doing averas. V'hashtus shematzik is atzmoi, and then there's the shtus, the foolishness. That we justify ourselves. Who hagayim shetshuvase leitiye nechena? That tshuva is not going to be a real tshuva. Kolkach kidibay mahave, really the way it's supposed to be. Ubafrat, and specifically echad harezeh yesegara, and in one way it's even worse. Nishtus akedim from the first shtus. There's one shtus that fools us. It's foolishness, and it causes us to go the wrong way, and then it causes us to do an avera. And that's one shtus. And the other shtus is that we justify ourselves. He goes, but the justifying yourself is a worse shtus. Because you did an avera, that's what's bad enough. But if you're going to do tshuva properly, what do we say in brachos? In a place that a Baal Tshuva stands, the tzaddik gomer doesn't stand. So the avera is bad, but if you do real tshuva, then you become a Baal Tshuva, which is a much higher level, even a tzaddik. So therefore, this shtus, this foolishness, and this thing that we cover over the truth, stopped us from being able to reach this level. So therefore, this shtus is much worse, because you did avera is one problem, but if you do tshuva on that, so then you can reach a level about tshuva, which is higher than a tzaddik gomer. But this shtus, the second shtus, is the worst, because it's not so bad. All the excuses it gives us. So therefore, we don't do proper tshuva, we don't transform ourselves, and we don't become a Baal Tshuva. Because through proper tshuva, we would be able to reach a high level. And really, the vart we're saying here is when we do something wrong, something we shouldn't be doing, when we make a cheshbon about it, be honest. Not so we get ourselves down, but so we can transform ourselves. Because only if we recognize what's going wrong, then we can transform. Like the story of my friend, that he was 70 pounds of excess weight. Until someone told him that, he keeps on living. Yeah, I should, whatever. When someone came and like sort of gave it to him straight, I was like, whoa, I need to change. And he did. Whatever. I'm not going to go into all the details, but for sure there was a transformation that happened. And so too with us. We're not, when we're talking about being honest with ourselves, we have to be careful to recognize if we're being truly honest, not just beating ourselves up. But we have to recognize, even when we're telling harsh truths, it's not to put us down, but it's to give us the ability to transform ourselves. And we have to recognize that when we're honest with ourselves and we truly want to change and we truly look at what needs to be changed and we change, we become this level of above a tzaddik gomer. Kitzer. Chaver tov misayer limtzei mume haruach umoyel la'aker hadeyos umidus rois lahaknois hatovis. That having good friends gives us the ability to recognize the blemishes that we have, to uproot them, and uproot bad machshavos, and to get good positive character traits. The chavera, and that's a good friends. It's good people to hang out with that push you forward in the right direction. Negative friends, goyim hashrashas hayediyos u'minis rois. It causes us to go on the negative path. Hahitz hadkus basasas zulasai siba she'en shuvasa shleimon. That this justification that comes that we justify ourselves and other people cause us to justify ourselves, that's the cause for not doing proper tshuva. And that shtus of justifying ourselves is a worse shtus than doing the avera, the shtus that causes us to do avera. We have one shtus that causes us to do avera, and the other shtus that causes us to justify ourselves. And the shtus that justifies what we did wrong is worse than the shtus to get us to do the avera. Mitzvah Hashem, by all of us, we should be able to be honest with ourselves, recognize who we are, recognize our potential, and transform ourselves to become this Baal Tshuva. Should have an amazing day. Have a great day, everybody.